Hey, this is Notser, and this is the Tier 8 Premium Japanese Cruiser Atago, and our user for today is Jorge. He is on the map Land of Fire, and it's a ranked battle. So, one thing I would like to say before we get going, please submit your replays to notserreplay@gmail.com. 2 R's right next to each other, so be careful. Keep in mind, I would like 1 to 2 sentence summary, the replay file, and screenshots of the in-score screens, so I can share that in the video. Please do not feel bad if I do not choose your replay. I have a lot of replay submissions. I'm just trying to look for variety to fill in those holes. Maybe ships that I haven't played in a while, or have never played ever, or don't have access to. So just keep that in mind. Thank you. So his team captures A, and the enemy is close to B, but not actually capturing it. Jorge fires on the enemy destroyer that is somewhere near B, and no confirmed hit, so the shells pass by harmlessly. An enemy Tirpitz shows up. In fact, the enemy team shows up. That Hatsaharu is still pretty healthy, and the Atago is a very, very solid ship. I love the Atago too. It's just unfortunate that it shares the same tier with the best ship in the game, of course. We all know that ship. I don't even mean to say it, but I'm going to anyway. The Mogami. Jorge fires on the enemy Tirpitz, and he gets a 6,500 point salvo and a fire. So his Atago is well trained in. Based on the accuracy that he displays, he's pretty good at this game. Enemy successfully captures B, and everyone's gone. That destroyer is invisible. There's nobody scouting anything. And it's interesting when you consider there's aircraft carriers on this map. There shouldn't be this many enemy ships completely invisible. He fires on the enemy Tirpitz, who's still burning from the initial fire. And another great salvo. He gets a fire. 2 fires on that Tirpitz. I expect him to use damage control if it's up. And yep, he's used damage control. So now he's immune probably for maybe this salvo. Although it could be long enough that he's not immune anymore. We'll just have to see when he makes contact. Oh no! Oh, he is not immune. 2 fires. Wow. 2 fires. And I think he only landed 2 shots, so wow. 500 points of damage on the Tirpitz, and he has to eat the whole damaging shot. Yeah. 3,000? Wow. Okay. This Tirpitz is taking a pounding, and it doesn't look like there's any way that he won't die to the allies. It's just, who's gonna kill him? Is Jorge gonna get another fire, by the way? 3 fires, 750 damage a second. Look at how fast this guy goes down. Jorge puts out a salvo. The enemy Tirpitz has put out 2 fires manually, but it's not enough to save him, and he dies to Mr. Bevan. Gets arsonist in the process and first blood. Nice. So they've even up the score. I think a battleship is worth more in the right scenario than a destroyer. Sometimes a destroyer, you kind of build into your game plan that one destroyer on your team's probably gonna just run off and die. It's too predictable. It really is too predictable. So he's gonna move back towards the enemy. There is an enemy cruiser on the eastern side, 2 enemy destroyers kind of in between A and B, and 2 more enemy ships north of B. So that's all of the ships. We see all of the enemy ships. Even the carrier is spotted by a friendly destroyer. So as Mr. Bevan heads towards the York, we need to understand that the York has better range than pretty much everything other than the Mogami, because the Mogami and any of those low caliber guns can extend their range. And the York sees the Atago, obviously, since he fired, but the Atago gets really crappy. Wow, that was 500 damage, really? Well, now the York is showing a ton of his side. George actually switches to AP. He's that confident in his next salvo that he'll be able to get a nice, clean AP shot. Now, the York doesn't continue the turn, but if he would have, it would have been a difficult shot. But here, this guy's nearly broadside, and it's a German cruiser. Thank you. Oh, yeah. Don't think he expected quite that much damage, but, yeah, 3 Citadel penetrations. Nice. And the York's, of course, destroyed. Which is the best outcome when they're the enemy. I have yet to actually run the York in ranked. I do not trust it enough. I would much prefer a more overpowered cruiser, like the Mogami. Mr. Bevan is going to head towards B a little bit to get in range of the enemy. There's an enemy Tirpitz, of course, an enemy Hatsaru. And for me, I would really like to kill that destroyer. I personally would put more emphasis on a destroyer than anything else, because as a cruiser, you hard counter them. And I can understand why you wouldn't want to be in range or put a lot of effort when there's an obvious battleship. The battleship can devastate you. So George opens up with his Atago. First salvo, not very successful. Second salvo, not very successful again. Superficial. There's really no damage done. Maybe a AA gun, but that's it. And as you're moving closer and closer, you need to keep good angling, which he's keeping very good angling. He's only having just enough angle to bring all his guns to bear, and it looks like the Tirpitz is actually not interested in firing on him. So as you read the situation, you could consider maybe being a little bit more aggressive. And he's going to send out his torpedoes, and that's the great thing about the Atago. It can actually send a set of torpedoes forward of the ship. It's the only Japanese cruiser that is readily available that can do it at high tier, and it helps a lot in a scenario exactly like this. You're going to impede the battleship's ability to engage in the terms he wants to engage in. And he's just now realizing the threat, and oh boy, I think George showed a little bit too much side. Yeah, he got a Citadel penetration. Pretty fantastic dispersion for that Tirpitz, though. Those 2 rounds went parallel to each other right into the waterline of the Atago. But he's still alive. He has his heal. He hasn't sustained that much damage in the grand scheme. And another Tirpitz that's on fire. And it looks like Mr. Bevan is actually aiming for the front to get another fire. George's torpedoes are unsuccessful, but it looks like he's actually getting torpedo strikes from the friendly aircraft carrier on the Tirpitz. And 3 fires plus torpedoes is the devastation of the battleship. And, Mr. Bevan didn't do most of the damage, but he made sure he's dead. You know, it's a kill. It's secured for the team, right, George? You're gonna. I agree. Don't hold back. Take him out. Now, we have the enemy cruiser, obviously. We know that the destroyer was somewhere north of B in that area. And the enemy aircraft carrier is actually on the eastern side of the map at the map border. So the replay shows that he doesn't have his turrets in position, but he does, and he fires with HE. And he's able to get high caliber, and he's just doing a ton of damage. His aim is true on the first shot. Just fantastic aiming skills. He has a rock in the way, so he can't really confirm exactly where the water line is, but it's an aircraft carrier. It's massive. Just need to get somewhere in the vicinity, and you'll do a lot of damage to it. I don't believe he set it on fire, though, and fires are really what count when you're trying to deny the carrier's ability to fight. Now, one thing I disagree with, he doesn't have his aircraft hovering over him, and he's attempting to engage an aircraft carrier. I would suggest that you get your aircraft out because there's kind of a delay between when it is responsive and when you actually use the cooldown. And it looks like there's a torpedo attack run, or at least an attempt at a torpedo attack run, and for some reason it disappears, flickers. I don't know, maybe there was smoke. It shouldn't disappear, and his AA is able to take it out. It was, barely alive. But that's not going to be the only attack. We know that the aircraft carrier knows about George, and he's going to send his aircraft to take care of him because he feels very threatened. Obviously, he's kind of playing cheeky. He's moving back to hide behind the island. He is sending out a dive bomber, so the fire is put out. That is what it signals. If George could get another fire, and he's just not able to. The aircraft carrier is just a little annoying. He's got to get actually on the other side of the island in order to engage. And his AA is opening up on the enemy dive bombers. He uses defensive fire, which is reasonable. I would probably get the... Yeah, finally he gets the aircraft. Okay, gotta get it up a little faster. Enemy torpedo bombers are coming. And hopefully he set them. You can't really see that in the replay. Hopefully he set them as the primary. And here, this was an auto drop. Interesting. He was wanting to use auto drop from that direction to prevent George from maneuvering, and it looks like it's going to work. He takes one on the nose. He has damage control, and he uses it. Has to, of course. Flood is just too devastating. He does have his heal up, though. He could be using that. He should definitely be using that. He's sustained a lot of fire and flood damage. Okay, finally, the heal's out. And this enemy aircraft carrier is so close. He's basically given up. He had to back up, so he's very slow, and now he's moving forward into Mr. Beevan's torpedoes, and he takes out the enemy aircraft carrier. There's an enemy Atago, though. They're same hit points. It should be a fair fight, and the enemy Atago opens up, gets 5k right off the bat. Wow, okay. Aw, man, what kind of bad luck does he have here? The enemy aircraft carrier set an attack run just before he died, and that attack run got 2 fires. He sustains another huge shot. He's showing way too much of his side, but he's all in. He wants to kill this guy as fast as he can, if he can. He loads AP, and he gets, just under the health of the Atago. The Atago uses a heal, follows up, 2,000 left for George. He has 1 shot to kill him. He's dead, so he just needs to try and take him with him. And is it enough? No, it's not enough. But, man, George, you did a great job there. Maybe play it a little bit more passively. Who am I kidding? Everyone loves that. Don't change. That's exactly how you needed to play that. It's just unfortunate that you didn't get the kill, right? It would be perfect if you got the kill. And that's exactly how I play those scenarios. His friendly Miyoko is firing on the enemy Hatsaru, and he lands a shot, and it looks like he actually got a fire, because you could see him ticking down. I don't have any other information other than that, obviously. And is he going to burn down the fire, or is he going to land a shot? I think he burned. Yeah, he burned. Okay. All right. Just an enemy Atago, and that's the game. Mr. Bevan got 4 kills, 2 torpedo strikes, 8 fire set, 4 citadels, and a buttload of credits. Also got high caliber, arsonist, and first blood. He also did 2,395 base XP. Just a fantastic game. George did around 145,000 points of damage. Just awesome. And thank you, George, for submitting this replay. Thank you, everyone, for your submissions. I hope everyone has a fantastic day, and I'll catch you next time.